What's going on, guys? Welcome to the video. I hope you're doing super well. This is going to be the new nose angle tutorial to get that nose down, and we're also going to be building in some spin improvements potentially to kill a couple birds with one stone. And this is going to be the procedure that got me to decrease my nose angle by more than 10 degrees, which is kind of just absurd to think about, and a lot of my clients have had similar results. So I'm super excited to give this to you guys. As always, I'm going to have video chapters. So there's going to be some introductory stuff where I'm going to talk about some of the background and some of the theory and some target numbers to look for. And then there's going to be a part where it's just a straight tutorial, which is the latter portion of the video. So go ahead and skip around to whatever you need most. So just a quick backstory on how it kind of came about, because I want to make sure I give credit to the people that helped originate all this stuff. I was up in Washington hanging out with Clint. You guys know him as Blitz on YouTube. And he was telling me that he had showed Cameron Hoffman, whose YouTube channel is T Less Traveled. So honestly, go subscribe to both of them if you haven't already. But he told me that he showed Cameron, if you pull your thumb off the disc, it almost forces you to throw nose down. And it gave Cameron some success. So then I tried it and it improved my nose angle, because first time I threw the tech disc, which was with Clint, my nose angle was like abysmal, like completely cataclysmically the worst thing ever. It was between like 5 and 9 degrees positive on average, which is just, it's horrendous. But anyways, he showed me that. I pulled the thumb off, my nose angle went down a little bit, and then we took it even further, and he was telling me about, well, if you have more back loading focus through the grip and even pull those front fingers off completely, it could take it even further. And that was when I started really seeing some like, -1, -2 on my slower throws. So we were brainstorming a way to work this into sort of an evolution to step up through drills. And that kind of started, building it into the 1 step to standstill to X step, where you're kind of working your way up in speed to maintain your throwing arm mechanics and your wrist mechanics and your finger mechanics to preserve nose angle as you step up in speed. And then I got home and I started using it for myself with my tech disc and also for my clients. And it was just working super well, but just continue to refine it with, the 20 plus clients I have that are giving me tech disc numbers on a pretty regular basis, especially the guys that would sign up and needed to work on nose angles. So that's kind of where we are now. A couple months after that, it's been super, super good. So that's the backstory there. So again, thanks to Clint and also Cameron's results for helping out with that stuff. So anywhere from -2 degrees to -5 degrees nose angle is gonna be a pretty good benchmark. Again, if you're outside that range, it's not the end of the world. You'll see tech disc numbers from guys like Eagle McMahon that's between 0 and -2 degrees. You'll see Garrett Gurthey that's in the -7 degree region. So there's top players that are not necessarily operating within that -2 to -5 range, but that's a good happy medium to shoot for. It's usually fairly attainable for most body types and most people's anatomy. So for nose, that's pretty good. And then also very importantly is your nose plus launch angle. So if you have a tech disc, you'll see launch angle, and what you want to kind of shoot for, nose plus launch equals about 6-ish. So for example, if I had a 0 degree nose angle and a 6 degree launch angle, 0 plus 6 would just equal 6 degrees. So that's going to give me roughly the right amount of loft and height on my disc's flight path to provide a good distance and also a workable golf line. Then if you were to have like -6 nose, you would need roughly around 12 degree launch. So -6 plus 12 is gonna be about 6. So the math kind of just, it's gonna shift in one direction or the other. But your launch angle usually will naturally adjust, especially if you're out in the field or on the course and you're throwing pretty nose down, you'll probably start launching a little bit higher. And vice versa, if you have a really high launch or a high nose angle, your launch angle probably will naturally adapt to be lower, which was kind of that's the boat I was in before I fixed my nose angle. And regarding these ranges of numbers that I'm giving you guys, I thought it would be prudent to mention respecting your individuality and also kind of getting to an 80% solution. So if you're someone whose anatomy of your wrist and elbow, there's mobility issues, whatever, and you have to just work so hard to get to like -2 nose, trying to get from there to -4 might not be worth the time investment. It also might not be natural and healthy for you. So kind of just shoot for like an 80% solution. An 80% solution is going to take you probably 20% as long as a 100% solution. And that's probably a little bit of a butchering of the 80-20 rule, but you can kind of see what I'm saying. Get the low-hanging fruit, get that good 80% solution. If you want to refine it down the road, you can always do that, but don't try to get the exact same numbers as someone like Garrett Gurthey or Gannon Buhr, because we're all built differently, and we're gonna probably end up at different numbers. So in regards to nose angle, something that I get a lot of questions about, and it's kind of debated, is gonna be turning of the key. It definitely seems that turning of the key can decrease nose angle. It can bring the nose down after release, or it'll bring down the nose on release. The caveat is that there is a timing inconsistency where, because the disc is going through a plane change where it is transitioning from pronation to supination, it can potentially decrease consistency of nose angle, hyzer angle, and also wobble. So this is one of those things where it's just going to be different for everyone, and you just have to try it and see if it works for you. Gannon Buhr has some turning of the key. He has that briefcase carry, pronated reach back. Garrett Gurthey does as well. I mean, Gannon Buhr is the best player in the world right now, and he's pretty consistent off the tee, I would say. So it definitely works for him. But just in general, the simpler your swing can be, usually the better for the most part. So some people just have to do that turning of the key along with all the other correct fundamentals of their grip, which I'm going to be going through in this tutorial. But if you're someone who's just really struggling to keep your elbow up and all the other stuff, you're doing it perfectly and your elbow is still dropping and you're still going into this weird, nose up release thing at the end, you can try turning of the key and seeing, if going from that briefcase carry to flipping to flat at the end of the throw does help you. Just keep a close eye on your wobble numbers. If your wobble is getting like way up over 5 degrees consistently, that's going to cause issues with flight consistency of the disc. And you're almost better off throwing with like a +2 nose angle and low wobble than like a -2 nose angle and like 10 degrees of wobble, because that flutter of the disc is going to induce some pretty erratic early turn behavior, and it's just not going to be good for consistency on the course or for the field for that matter. Okay, so time for the tutorial. So the first thing I want to show you guys is the concept of backloading the grip, and also what the front fingers and what the back fingers are, just to make sure that the vocabulary I'm using is going to make sense when I'm giving you guys the procedure for these evolutions. Because I want to show you guys, and I'll just use a general 4-finger power grip so you guys can see. The back 2 fingers is going to be the pinky and the ring finger, and the front fingers is going to be the middle finger and index. So you can kind of think forward of the hand is front, so that's going to be index and middle, and back is going to be those back 2 fingers, ring and pinky, and then of course the thumb is just going to be the thumb. So what a backloaded grip means is essentially it means the main squeeze pressure of my grip is coming from these back 2 fingers. So these back 2 fingers are squeezing the disc up into the meat of my hand. Don't have to be death gripping it, don't have to be bearing down excessively hard, but that's essentially what the backloading is going to be. So I can have all the other fingers on the disc, but they can be there pretty relaxed, and I can be sort of pulling the disc and squeezing it through those back fingers. So if you were to use a modified fan grip, for example, you can see that I can still backload it with the ring and pinky. I can still squeeze up, and I can still have that middle finger there for flight plate support and a little bit of grip support. But even when we're backloading the grip, we still want the disc to pivot off the index finger and the thumb at the same time, ideally. That's going to help to minimize wobble and maximize spin at the same time. So you can imagine the index finger and thumb are kind of more acting as a hook rather than a death gripping squeezing mechanism. So it's kind of just hooking the disc, allowing it to spin around it, but it's not death gripping it and going into all this crazy radial deviation. This is going to be a 50 throw progression, and it's going to be 10 throws of 1-steps, 10 throws of standstills, thumb off, 10 throws of standstills, thumb on, 10 1-step full grips, 10 X-step full grips. Everything across the whole session is going to be backloaded. So starting out with the 1-steps, these are back fingers only at 50% effort. So back fingers only, what that means is I only have, the only things holding the disc is the pinky and ring finger. And when I have that light squeeze of the disc up into the meat of the hand with those back fingers, it's going to promote ulnar deviation, which you guys probably know as pouring the cup of tea. So the ulna is this forearm bone here. The radius is the big forearm bone on the top. We don't want radial deviation because that's going to induce nose up. And oftentimes when we flex the front fingers and the thumb too much, it can activate the radial flexion muscles. But we want to keep those ulnar flexion muscles as activated as possible. And we want to generally try to keep the hand and wrist as relaxed as we can get away with, which is going to help with elasticity and spin. So back fingers only, light squeeze up into the meat of the hand, and you can see all the other fingers are pretty far away. And again, kind of pouring that cup of tea, AKA ulnar deviation, as I do that light squeeze. Set up position on the one leg, balanced on my right leg as a righty thrower, nose over toes. Butt is back, back leg is kicked back, and my throwing arm setup is going to be the same for all of these throws across the session. I want my shoulder depressed, which is down, protracted, which is towards you guys, towards the camera, so down and forward. I want my elbow up and away from the body. At this point, my body is wrapped around the disc. The disc is pretty much inside my body, underneath my right pec. And I'm still slightly squeezing those back two fingers. What's gonna happen is when I do my coil back, the way I'm gonna throw and pull through, this is the most important part, I'm going to curl the disc through my right armpit as I squeeze the back fingers. So when I go from here to here, I'm curling the disc through my right armpit. That's forcing my elbow to stay up. And as I do that, I'm squeezing the back fingers, which is helping to promote ulnar deviation and a backloaded grip through the finish of the throw. So I'll do a couple of super sketchy throws into the net in here at really low power. Nose over toes, balance on the right leg. Body's wrapped around the disc. Shoulder is depressed and protracted. Elbows up. And I'm gonna coil back, and I wanna reach back slightly down so that I can throw on a consistent positive launch angle plane. I'm gonna try to keep my swing plane as consistent as possible. And as I coil back, again, curling the disc through my right armpit as I squeeze the back fingers. And if you're lefty, it's your left armpit. That's the only difference. See if I can manage not to put a hole in the roof here. Super good nose angle, negative 3.2 degrees. Usually if you can get nose down on one leg, you're in good shape. The one leg has the least kinetic chain available. It has the least rotation available. It's gonna really promote strong throwing arm and strong hand and wrist mechanics. So after you do the set of one leg throws, after you do your 10 one leg throws, and again, you don't have to do exactly 10. You can do 5 if you want to do a 25 throw session. This is just the general format that's worked for my clients and myself. So I want to give you guys kind of some recommendations for your numbers. But the second set in the evolution is going to be standstill throws with the thumb off. So I'm going to do my normal grip, which is this, but I'm going to leave my thumb off the disc. So whatever your normal grip that you'd throw your disc with, just use that, but your thumb is off. And the big caveat here is I want to still have that backloaded squeeze. So the main thing holding the disc in my hand is that light squeeze from the back fingers up into the meat of the hand. And you can see I still have that nice relaxed ulnar deviation. I'm gonna go my normal standstill stance. Again, if you guys want to see more tutorial about standstill specifics, just go to Clint's channel. Honestly, he's a standstill king for a reason and he has great tutorials. But going to my normal standstill stance, same setup position. Shoulder is depressed and protracted, elbows up, body is wrapped around the disc. And as I coil back, I'm going to initiate the throw by curling the disc through my right armpit as I squeeze the back fingers. And I'm gonna also really try not to, put the roof into orbit with this by missing the net. So it's gonna be pretty slow, but this is what it's gonna look like. And I recommend doing as many practice swings as you need to visualize and also just feel what that connection of that backloaded squeeze is going to feel like as you curl up and through the right armpit. Okay, so we're at -5 nose angle, even with kind of a low launch because I'm scared of missing over the top of the net. The next set of standstills, what you would do for set 3 of the evolution is going to be 10 standstills at 50% effort. And now we're finally adding the thumb on. So we've now evolved up to our full grip here, but we want to always make sure that we're maintaining that light squeeze through the back two fingers and doing everything that we did well on the one legs and the thumb off standstills. And then set 4 of the evolution is going to be 10 baseball like one step throws at 50% effort, still with full grip, still backloaded, still focused on curling the disc through the right armpit with that backloaded squeeze. So I'll put in clips of how I like to do those one steps. I'm not by any means the master of them, but it's essentially bridging the gap from the standstill up to the X step, because it's mimicking that last step of the X step, which is going to help to step you up in speed, and also try not to over clutter things with too much footwork too prematurely in the session. And then set 5, which is the final set, is going to be 10 throws of normal X steps, just how you normally throw your X steps, still at about 50% or half effort, keeping things nice and slow and smooth so that you can execute on good form. And it's going to be the exact same thing. Full grip, but light squeeze coming through the back fingers. All the other fingers and thumb are still relaxed. And curling the disc. Once you land in the brace, your main focus of the throw is going to be to curl the disc through the right armpit with that associated back finger squeeze. Before I outro, I want to mention a couple little things to keep in mind. And that's going to be, the first one is just going to be to respect how it's not going to be an instantaneous thing to break out of old habits. So for me, I was throwing with over positive 5 degrees nose angle for months upon months at really high speeds. And the first couple of weeks of doing this was kind of up and down, and it was discouraging at times. But I knew in theory it would end up working out, so I just kept my head down and kept working at it, and now I'm at -5 nose angle on average. So it's going to be different for everyone. Some people it's going to happen in the first session. I have some clients that went from +4 to like -3 nose angle in their first session doing this. And then I have others that it took maybe a week or so, or a couple weeks. So if you're doing things correctly, it's not going to always be an overnight thing, but just try to see that, you know, general trend line is an improvement, and you'll be in good shape. The other thing is just watch out for how your fingers are feeling. If you were not using your back fingers very much previously, they are going to have to make some strength adaptations, neuromuscular strength, and also the tissues themselves are going to have to probably make some adaptations. So if you're feeling some, you know, quote unquote good soreness, if you're a little bit sore, that's okay. That just means that you're adapting to the strength demands from how your hand and fingers are now moving. But if you're getting some recurring bad soreness and you're getting some joint inflammation, just keep a careful eye on that and don't let it go unchecked. So that does it for the video, guys. I'll sign off here. Hopefully I'm not just like a shadow in the background of my living room right now, but thank you so much for stopping by and watching. I hope it was informational and easy to understand for you guys, and let me know what kind of results you get. I'm looking forward to seeing some people getting through this brick wall of, you know, nose angle being kind of tricky to solve sometimes. I know it was tough for me, so that'll be a nice one for you guys to get taken care of. And if you don't mind, please subscribe to the channel. And also let me know if you want more videos like this or what other drill ideas. A lot of people have been giving me great suggestions, and this was like the most requested one, which is why I'm making it now. So if you subscribe, you'll get notified when I come out with future stuff. That's hopefully helpful as well. My website, I mean, it's on my shirt. I guess my shirt's been visible this whole time. nickcrush.com, or you can email me at nick.crush.fitness@gmail.com, and I can help you out do some of this nose angle stuff or arm speed or spin or whatever you want to work on. So I'll see you guys next time. Hope you take care.